And today's question, Scott, is
What can we expect from Joe Woods' defense? Which might be one of the biggest mysteries on this team this season because we haven't really gotten a glimpse of what that might look like we normally would during OTAs or minicamp. Um, we haven't gotten that this season because they haven't been practicing. So we're going to have to find that out during training camp, what to expect from Woods. Now, he was the defensive coordinator for 2 seasons in Denver. Didn't have great records there. They went 6-10, 5-11 when he was there. Took over for Wade Phillips. Last season, he was with the Niners as the defensive backs coach. Really spent most of his season as a defensive backs coach. Worked with a lot of great players. Now he's here in Cleveland. He's spent some of his career's been in a 3-4, some of it's been with a 4-3. He came here. He says he's going to stick with the 4-3 because that's kind of what the personnel dictates. You have Myles Garrett on the outside. I think you want to keep things as the status quo, which kind of makes sense. But for the rest of the defense, like I said, it's kind of a mystery. We know that during free agency, he really wasn't getting a lot of the big name players that say the offense was. That you go out and get a big time tackle like Conklin, you get a big time tight end like Hooper. And meanwhile, on defense, he's losing all his linebackers and all his safeties, and they brought in people like Carl Joseph, Andrew Sendejo. You got B.J. Goodson put in on at linebacker, but it seems more like a unit that he's going to kind of have to make it work, as opposed to he has a lot of guys that he can build around on the back end of that defense. I think it's still going to be a defensive line heavy or focused defense because of just the names you have there. But other than that, I think we're all going to kind of have to piece this together during training camp and figure out what Joe Woods' defense is supposed to look like.
Yeah, you know what? I think that there are certain things that we're going to know about Joe Woods' defense, and that is, and we talked to him about this on the day that he was hired, and that is that he really wants them to attack the football. And I think that is one of the key things that this defense needs to do a lot better than it did last year when they were tied for 19th with only 20 takeaways. They need to get more interceptions. They need to get more forced fumbles, more fumble recoveries. They need to get more sacks and things like that, but they need to take the ball away more. And I think that the emphasis will be on that. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to start coaching that up in the offseason because they weren't together. But I still think that the emphasis was there to get there, to attack the ball, and to punch it out. And I think there are plenty of guys on this team that have the capability of doing that. When I look at a Grant Delpit, I think of a ball hawking safety there. A Carl Joseph, sort of same thing. I think that some of the guys on the D line and elsewhere should be able to force more fumbles and recover more fumbles than they have in the past. So that's what I'm looking for. That's one major thing that I'm looking for is far more takeaways than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and this is a guy that's been a defensive backs coach so much of his career, going back to his college days, his season at Kent State in 1997, a year that I know is probably near and dear to all of our hearts when Joe Woods was at Kent State, joining the Kent State crew that covers this team. But that defensive backs background with those young DBs with Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward, I think that's going to help them get better and hopefully help them, be able to take the football away. Just kind of looking at some of his defensive rankings in 2018, Denver was 5th in takeaways. In 2017, they were 3rd in yards. They were 5th in rushing yards. I mean, his defenses in Denver, even though the records weren't great, and it fluctuated, year to year as defenses tend to do, but there was at least one year where he had some pretty good numbers defensively in Denver, and then the other year when the numbers weren't as good, the takeaway numbers were high. So that's kind of what you want. If you're not going to be one of the best defenses statistically, take the football away. That changes things.
He kind of said that he's going to stick with what most teams do, and we're probably only going to see 2 linebackers on the field a lot. One of the things he likes to say is that everybody runs basically the same defense in the NFL. It's just how you package that together and how you show it to the other team. So he wasn't really very revealing in how his defense will look this year. But I think at its base, it might look a lot like what we saw last year with 2 linebackers on the field, extra safeties, and stuff like that. So But I think coming in, having already done this once, he isn't in the same boat necessarily as, say, Kevin Stefanski, who's in that position for the first time.